So my question is how to invent and implement gamification system iteratively. And what I mean by that is we're not sure. So I'm working on an app that already exists. And I have many ideas, and I did a research so that I can create a game loop that would suit that situation and our users. But the owner rushes a bit to implement already some systems that would maybe count learned vocabulary because it's an educational app. And what I'm worried about is that the system that is created in a rush will block us from the iterative approach because we will get stuck in some maybe wrong loop or just tracking not right things. But we still want to start with something. So what would you advise how to approach this topic iteratively, to start with something and not block ourselves from the future that we don't know what it will be?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I've talked about related things about how the game loop could, and you already jumped on the first thing that's very useful, which is talking about having a game loop, right? So, and be prepared, I might ask you to show said game loop to further comment on things. If we only have 2 questions left, we'll have some time. So, which also is a reminder to others, we have some time, so do send questions. Okay, so I think last time we did talk about the meta blocks game loop. And I make these on Keynote, Apple Keynote, and so when they get exported to Google Drive, it always looks like it's just not the right feeling. But anyway, it's the game loop. It has the same information. Look at those arrows, so big and overlapping with other things. Yeah. But anyway, so this is a game loop. It's like, understandably, it's a pretty complex one. People take time to understand. And we talked about the journey of how it evolves. I think I have definitely one life coach that I just talked about how the things evolve, and I'm not sure if it's already uploaded on OP yet. Might need to follow up on that. But the key is that when you want to design a horse, right? Let's say this is a horse, the full vision. What you want to try not to do is you want to try not to just launch with, body parts of a horse, like the eyes of a horse, the legs of a horse, because then there's just some flesh on the ground. It's not a living, breathing animal. What you want to do is you want to start off with a small animal, like a mouse, and then a dog, and then a bigger animal, and then a horse. So what that means is it should have a cohesive game loop. So there should still be this relationship that has things that, doing this leads to something else, and it comes here. And you should try not to have dead ends. And let's see if this has loaded or not. Loading. Okay, yeah. So going back to my most traditional opening for game loops. Usually I talk about in CoreDrive 3. We notice that over here, there's no real arrows to point back. I mean, I drew a red arrow, but it's just like you just pray people will do it again, but it kind of ends, right? So, I mean, I think you've been through some of these videos before. And I like to go back to the OP example where at the beginning, 2018 of June, you come to a daily, you have watch videos, open chest, and capture Geomon, right? And then, Chow coins at the time of release, you couldn't spend it on anything. It's just a number on the screen. And Geomons, yeah, you have an album. I don't think there's not a lot of functions, just sits there an album. But we have the CoreDrive power-ups. We have the blue status power-ups, the first ever, and those help you, get more coins when you open a chest, and it helps you open the chest more often. And helps you level up faster with the CD2 one, and then it allows you to obtain a higher status, which is orange, which will give you more power-ups. So there's already this kind of like a circular game loop experience. And then the question is, well, but then collecting Chow coins does nothing. So collecting Chow coins maybe you can get EXP that help you level faster and gives you more power-ups, that give you more coins. and gives you more EXP, and it can buy Geomon traps to capture more Geomons. But the Geomons, you can't do anything with it. So then we expand that and into, you're selling your Geomon for Chow coins, you're setting it free for CD1 EXP, you're merging your Geomon, whatnot, right? And, as I talk about, can't believe this is more than 2 years ago. I feel like I made this iteration not so long ago. But yeah, it gets more and more complex.
At this stage, when you thought, maybe we will add Geomons, did you have some kind of concept in your mind how you will use it afterwards, or it just seemed like an interesting direction and I will be open for ideas?
Probably both. I mean, I did a quick version of the 5-step process, and I can only do a quick one because, again, I was doing a lot of work for consulting clients that I'm liable to also. But and then over time, for instance, right, the Geomon, setting it free to get Core Drive 1 EXP, that was not in the initial planning. And the reason why it's here is because the community reflected that, hey, it's actually really hard to get Core Drive 1. So we needed more mechanisms to Core Drive 1. And again, the idea is how to make this component more useful, right? Because you can see it's a dead end, right? Even if I don't have this thing called N, you just see this doesn't point anywhere. Everything else points somewhere, right? Obtain higher status points back. This points somewhere. Everything points somewhere, I believe. It's only this one that points nowhere. So that really just ends. So then we're like, okay, well, maybe since we want to give people more ways to get Core Drive 1 Epic Meaning and Calling, and the Geomons aren't really doing that much, then why not give them some CD3 in terms of choosing if they want to sell, free, or merge? Yeah, I think merging was in the back of mind, but merging would only be necessary once people start collecting the same Geomons over and over, which means they've been on the island for a while. So it was also not necessarily to get at the beginning. So at the beginning, it's just the Geomon. And later on, as you know, I don't know if you ever tried it yet, but you can fight the Hydra Cave with the Geomon, and you can unlock new skins and all that stuff. So then the Geomons became a little bit more versatile too. And I'll tell you from one thing that we decided not to do, and people asked, is some people in the community, they're more about the gameful experience. They love games. So they ask about, oh, can we train our Geomons and have them battle each other or battle other players? And that goes back to the business metrics and desired actions of Octalysis Prime, right? The main point is to learn about gamification principles, and desired action is to understand the game design techniques, when to use them, etc. And so we always want to make sure in gamification design, just pure engagement is not enough. It needs to motivate desired actions and improve business metrics. So if there was an option to evolve the Geomons into the funnest Pokemon battle game, and let's say a bunch of OP members are just doing this all day long, and we'll have very engagement stats, but they're just playing games now. They're just no longer learning how to use game design techniques applying to the core drive. So there's a saying that strategy is not what you choose to do, but what you choose not to do. Because if you say yes to every opportunity, you have no strategy, right? And so yeah, there's some things the community would say, hey, we'd love to have this, and we'd have to say no, because that goes against our business metrics and design. Unless we go all the way and say, no, let's just change our business metrics. Let's change the purpose of Octalysis Prime and have other desired actions, or else it's there's a small point to argue that's well, if people are out there playing this Geomon fighting game all the time, then they're on the island, so maybe they can watch more videos and learn. And yes, that could be indirectly true, but it's so far removed, it's not the most efficient way to drive desired actions. There's probably much better ways to do it. Yeah, so that's what you think. You think about the small game loop. So everything leads to somewhere. You want to make sure. So in contrary, right, you could also have launched with something else, but it's not. But it's in pieces. It's it doesn't really create a game, even a small loop, and that's not good. So you see what you have, and then all right, well, now this can connect here. What can this do? Now this can do this. This can boost opening. You got the random ideas now. The leprechaun can help you get lucky with a chest, right? Or something else can help you do this, and all these Geomons can do other things. Yeah, and it's just having this game loop in front of you will help you think about how can you connect things together. Also, you want to make sure you're just not adding a bunch of things linearly. The game loop also helps to make sure everything you're adding is tied to the current ecosystem. You know, it's not just adding 10 features and that's it. It's 10 features that play well with the existing 8 features.
Okay. I feel motivated to actually prepare at least the core loop and come back next week.
Yeah, love to show that, and I can comment on it more directly.
Thank you.